Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. So, I don't even know where to start with this one because Meri Brown is finally so over being scared of Kody Brown. And honestly, it is about time. Like, we've watched her stay quiet, smile through the pain, pretend like everything is fine for years, but in this new episode, or maybe just this new chapter, something is different. Something clicked. In a good way. Again, before I am going in on that clip, I need to speak to something that I've been seeing everywhere on YouTube. There is this one channel that popped up last week telling us that Cody secretly messaged Meri after their break, and that they're supposedly back together. And listen, I have no idea how people come up with this kind of thing. Like, what? Where is the source? Where is the evidence? There ain't no text messages, no leaked calls, nothing. But that video has, like, 400,000 views and people commenting are giving it gospel treatment. I don't know who needs to be told this, but not everything with a thumbnail of Cody looking emotional and Meri off into the distance is real. Sometimes those channels just grab an AI voice, throw in some dramatic music, and make up whatever it takes to get hits. And then I get 100 comments like, "Did you see Cody and Meri getting back together?" Number they are not. If you see a video saying Meri and Cody went on a secret dinner date to Flagstaff or that they're trying therapy again, no, they're not. That's fantasy fan fiction at this point. If Cody had dinner with Meri, it would probably be in a parking lot, and he'd bring Robin as his emotional support partner. So yeah, don't fall for those fake videos. Besties anyway. Now that we've cleared that up, let's talk about what's actually happening, because Meri is finally standing up for herself, like really standing up for herself, and for the first time, I really believe she is over it. So here is where things start shifting. You know how all along when Cody would get that tone, that superior condescending, "I am the head of this family" tone, Meri would just kind of wilt, like she'd smile and nod and try to kiss up to it. Not anymore, not now, today's woman is different. And to be honest, I don't think the breaking point was a single row or even one insulting remark. There have been years of slow building up. The cold shoulder, the rejection, the gaslighting, the insincere. I just want you to be happy speeches as he is hauling his emotional bags onto Robin's doorstep. In this week's episode, there is this poignant but intense scene. You can see it on Meri's face, like something in her just clicks. She's sitting across from Jen, and Jen's basically giving her this little crash course in boundaries. And I swear, it is like Meri's hearing it for the very first time. Jen tells her, "You have every right to say no to him." And Meri laughs this awkward, almost nervous laugh. The sort you offer when you know it is true, but it feels kind of rebellious to say it out loud. Then Jen gets close up in her face and says, "You don't have to be afraid of him anymore." And the look on Meri's face chills, as if she suddenly sees how long it has been since she has lived in that fear. Not fear of being physically hurt, but fear of emotional hurt. Fear of always waiting for that next cold remark or withdrawal. It is crazy because, up until now, Cody had this sort of control over her that wasn't even a matter of control. It was a matter of hope. She still held on to hope that he would once again be the man that she fell in love with. But the man that she remembers, the one that laughed with her in the car, the one that used to actually notice her, he has been gone for a decade. And when she finally accepts that to herself, that is when she begins to release fear. You can sense it in her voice, lighter, more confident. She is not angry, she is alert. And here is the thing. When a woman like Meri awakens, when she ceases trying to please and begins speaking her truth, that is when everything is different. Because Cody, he has no clue what to do with a woman who isn't intimidated by him. Oh, okay, so this is where it gets good. Like, lean forward on the couch good. Jen decides Meri needs some practice. She is not just spouting off empowerment. She is getting Meri to say it. You know those times when your friend is all, "Nope, we're not just talking about it, we're going to do this." That is Jen here. She stands Meri eyeball to eyeball and says, "Repeat after me, you do not control me." And Meri, bless her heart, shows this little half smile and says it softly, like testing the words on her tongue. Jen shakes her head. "No, no. Say it again, mean it." And this time Meri stands up tall, her voice a little firmer. You do not control me. Jen grins, less smile. More fire. Mary's eyes flar for just a moment. Jaw clenches, and she says it again, slower. You do not control me. And I mean, you can see it change the vibe in the room. You can see it make her angry. That all these years she has been shrinking herself to fit into Cody's comfort zone. And now, she is finally fighting back against it, even if it is just rehearsal. Then Jen laughs and says, "Ooh, that was good. That gave me chills." And Meri, she is laughing too, but this time it is not that long, past years' nervous laugh. It is daring, like she has just found a new part of her voice. Honestly, it reminded me of that one scene in a movie where the underdog realizes that they've been strong the entire time, they just forgot it. You can nearly see the flashbacks flashing in her mind each time Cody cut her off mid-sentence. Each time he said, "I don't want that relationship." Each time she said nothing because she thought the grown-up thing to do would be to remain silent. Now she sits before a friend who is more or less handing her the blueprint to her own liberty. It is ironic because, for Cody, control has been his security blanket throughout. He enjoys being the voice, the one who makes the decisions, the one who calls the shots. But the moment the second Meri utters such statements as "you don't control me," that comforter starts to unravel. You can guarantee if Cody ever lays eyes on that clip, he is going to flip out. Because for him, losing control isn't just about the relationship, it's about losing the image of being the guy who manages all his wives. And now, one of them is publicly graduating from his rulebook. This moment might look small, but it's the start of Meri's rebellion. Not loud, not messy, but powerful. Because she's finally learning that her silence used to protect him. Not her. You know what's wild? If you go back over the entire course of the seasons, it is not that Meri hadn't wanted to tell it like it is. You always could see it seething underneath. The little stiff smile. The moment she'd open her mouth, catch herself, and just nod. That was not a weakness. That was conditioning. Because, let's be honest, in their world, women are not taught to speak out against the man of the house. They're taught to keep the peace, be sweet, be obedient, and make sure the husband is never disrespected. And when you grow up in that system, it is muscle memory. You don't even realize you are doing it. It is that subtle, intangible form of control that doesn't have to involve yelling and threatening. It is built into the rules, and Cody, he has played that system perfectly the whole time. He doesn't need to say, "I'm in charge." He just carries himself like it's a fact, and everyone around him adjusts. And poor Meri, she was the first wife, the original, the one who built the whole foundation with him. That means she also carried the most guilt. Because when things started crumbling, she felt responsible. It's like, if I'd just been a better wife, if I'd just been more patient, if I'd just tried harder, maybe he wouldn't have drifted. That's the trap. That's the exact mindset that kept her quiet for so long. But now that guilt is turning into something else, into frustration, into clarity, into this new energy where she is going, "Wait, why have I been carrying the shame for his awful actions?" You can see she is finally getting that this isn't religion anymore, or family duty, or maintaining the facade. It is about respect for self and, let's get real, the fact that it took 2 decades for her to end up here speaks more about the extent of the conditioning than it does about her. It is simple to walk away from a man. It is difficult to walk away from a belief system that told you that your worth was in making him happy. You can hear it now in her voice when she talks. It is more stern, there is less apology involved. She is polite, she is still poised, but that little quiver that used to intrude when she talked about Cody, gone. And here is what is actually fascinating when women such as Meri start to emerge from that fear. It doesn't only upend the man who dominated them, it shakes the entire culture around them. Because now, all of a sudden, she is not the poster child of the faithful, submissive wife. She is the poster child of what happens when you stop playing nice. I think that is why this episode resonated so differently. It was never simply a matter of one conversation with Jen. It was about Meri shattering a family cycle of silence. And that is more than Cody. That is about her reclaiming her life. The thing about control is it only holds as long as the other individual continues to play according to your rules. And Cody? He has been running this family like his own personal board game for 40 years. Each step, Each word, each emotion sifted through his own kind of logic. He always has done that. Whenever a wife becomes upset or asserts herself, he withdraws, becomes remote, ceases talking. Then she becomes anxious, starts apologizing, and he is master again. Good old-fashioned emotional yo. Yo, that is how he has managed to keep everyone in line. Not with yelling, but with remoteness. That is the real tool. And Meri used to fall for it every time. Remember that notorious, "I don't want to be married to" incident? Most people would have grabbed a bag and been out the door before he even got the words out. But Meri lingered. She stayed because she thought maybe if she was just patient enough, kind enough, understanding enough, he'd come back to her. So he never did. And now, she has finally learned the silence isn't punishment anymore. It is freedom. That is what scares Cody. Not Meri screaming. Not Meri fighting. Not Meri crying. What terrifies him is Meri not caring because when she does not respond anymore, he does not exist anymore. You can see it in the way she talks about him now. There is no longer a perhaps someday in her words. She's not defending him, not making excuses, not holding on to the ghost of that man she met 30 years ago. It's almost unsettling, like watching someone walk out of a long, dark hallway into the sun, blinking and realizing how quiet it's been inside that house. There's this part in the latest episode where Meri says, "I'm not going to keep being the one who tries simple line." But there is the end of Cody's control right there, because all his authority was built on her being the one who always attempts. And Cody, he hates that change. You can see it when he talks about her. He tries to sound flat, reasonable, even above it. But there is this twitch in his face, this flash of irritation. Because for the first time, his old tricks don't land. No guilt trips, no emotional manipulation. No, you're just not being kind talk. None of it works anymore. Meri's not playing his game, and without that, he's just standing there, looking like a guy who doesn't know how to function when he's not being worshipped. It's actually poetic. In a way, the moment she gave up on trying to get him back was the moment she took back her power. Okay, besties, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. The moment that had everyone paused, yelling at their television, or texting their friends like, "Did you see what just happened?" So here is the gist. Meri is across from Cody, and you can sense tension is palpable. It is quiet, but not awkwardly quiet. It is the silence that is electric, as if something is about to explode, but in a peaceful, contained way. And then she says it. The thing we've all hoped she'd say for years, "Cody, I am done being afraid of you." I actually stopped my laptop when I first heard it. Not mad, not screaming, measured, controlled, but the kind of statement that has weight. It is the spoken equivalent of turning the board over on someone who has been cheating for decades. And Cody, oh, he stutters. He opens and closes his mouth, then opens it again. You can hear the wheels spinning in his head. This is a man who has grown accustomed to people staying in line because they fear and feel guilty if they do otherwise. And suddenly, there is no neither. Neither is there. Then she tops it off with something even more intense. "I won't shrink to make you comfortable anymore. You'll hear me, you'll see me, and I am done apologizing for existing." Besties, that line alone would be a 30-second viral clip. It is iconic. It is everything. It is the payoff of seasons of build-up, and the way she says it, measured, firm, unwavering. It's the Meri we've been waiting to see. You can tell the other wives notice too. There's this subtle nod from Christine like, "Yes, finally," and Robin. Well, she looks slightly uncomfortable, probably realizing that Cody's old tricks aren't working anymore. This scene is a masterclass in controlled power. Meri isn't yelling, isn't being dramatic. She doesn't have to be. She is standing up for what she knows is true, and the room, the family, and viewers sense it. And here is the thing that is so insane. This isn't even about Cody. It is about every woman who has watched this show, gotten frustrated, and wished in the quietest of ways for a moment of justice. This is it, and it is raw, real, and gratifying. Honestly, seeing her state that, "I got a little choked up," because we've all witnessed her suffer, settle, and hold back for a better version of him who might never arrive. And now, she doesn't need that version. She is rewriting the script whole. New besties, now that we've witnessed the epic showdown, let's discuss the actual game. change your boundaries. Because this isn't just one statement or one detonation moment, it is a wholesale shift in the manner in which Meri is interacting with Cody and the family. She has said a yes to all the things that have made her feel uneasy. Little compromises here, little silences there, consenting in the quiet while Cody took charge, discounting his attitude so she wouldn't rock the boat. It is exhausting just to watch in hindsight, but now, she is drawing a line in the sand, and it is firm. She is saying yes to her happiness, yes to being understood, yes to making choices that serve her, not the reputation of the family or Cody's convenience. And she is saying no to guilt trips, no to minimizing herself, no to pretending everything's fine when it is not, no to silent compliance. And let's get real, the way she is doing it makes it so satisfying. There is this one time in the show when Cody is trying to circumvent her boundary. Old trick, huh? He is joking, trying to defuse the moment as if he is trying out to see if she'll crack. But Meri doesn't crack. She holds her ground, and you can just see the look of surprise on his face. He is like, wait, she is not joking. She is not going to back down. This is what provides this new Meri with her strength. She is not loud or explosive. She is forceful, calm, and collected. And that is a heck of a lot scarier than yelling or drama because it shows self-control. She has gained the skill of standing up without shattering, something Cody clearly didn't anticipate. Even little things count. She is not making unnecessary phone calls. She is not jumping all over passive, aggressive messages, and she is not falling for the insidious games that used to make her question herself. She is defending her energy, and honestly, I am so proud of her for it. This new approach is also catching on in a way. You can look around at the other wives standing by. Maybe they've been waiting too, watching someone for the first time stand up for herself without shame. It is a gentle push. You can do this too. And here is the payoff. After Meri stopped being afraid anymore, every little step was a reminder of her new mantra. I no longer allow you to dictate to me what I need to feel or do. And Cody? Oh, he is finally realizing he has an issue, because control is only power if it is accepted. And Meri's not having it anymore? All right, besties. Now this is where things really get interesting, the ripple effect. Because after Meri finally stood up for herself, it wasn't just Cody who noticed. Everyone in the family did, Christine especially, seemed relieved. You could see it in the way she slumped back a bit, like a weight had been removed. She is likely considered for years. Finally, someone is saying what all of us have been thinking, and it is rewarding to see her observing Meri step up rather than dancing around Cody. Then there is Robin. Her face is more complex, nearly suspicious. She has always had a close relationship with Cody, and some part of her still operates by the old rules, so to see Meri just talk out and back, assertively and serenely, is probably hitting her in a way that is both impressive and unsettling. You can see that little flicker of, maybe the old tricks aren't working anymore. And the kids. Oh, they notice. Not just the grown-ups, but even the children are learning a lesson here that it is okay to speak up. To set boundaries, not to shrink yourself for someone else. It is not just a television drama, it is life lessons in real time. What is beautiful is the way the room shifts. The previous pecking order, where Cody so subtly dominates the conversation, suddenly feels off. Kilter, he tries little digs, little comments, the kind he is accustomed to exercising dominance. But Meri responds, not with theatrics, not with rage, merely with firm resolve. And time and again his dominance slips away. There is a little moment where he jokes, trying to establish dominance again. Generally, the wives would smile politely, perhaps diffuse tension. But today, they watch, and the smiles aren't in the works because it is clear. The days of unchecked rule are over. It is truly satisfying to see. You can actually see Cody adapting in real time, a realization that the old tricks don't apply, that his authority has limits, and that Meri, in particular, has finally found hers. And those little looks between wives are priceless. You know, that silent communication, the nods, the raised eyebrows, the little smiles of agreement. It's like they're silently cheering her on, celebrating that someone finally broke free from decades of expectation. This isn't just drama, it's a power shift, and watching it unfold, it's addicting. Okay, besties, now let's get inside Meri's head for a second. because what she's thinking is just as important as what she's saying. Outside, she is cool, calm, confident, the new Meri inside, a whirlpool of feelings that we, as viewers, can almost feel. For one thing, relief. Pure relief. All these years of twisting herself into knots, compromising, apologizing for something she'd never done, finally standing up for herself when she needed to, it feels like a weight lifted from her shoulders. That tension that has been knotted in her ribcage, it is loosening bit by bit. And then there is anger, the sort that won't make you scream, but which clears your head. Anger at the years wasted at being emotionally blackmailed, at all the times she is kept back in order to avoid conflict. But instead of allowing it to consume her, she is channeling it. It is what lends her credibility in her words, that lingering intensity that makes Cody tremble. A little sadness there as well, because the acknowledgement of the truth, that perhaps he'll never be the man she thought she knew, is a loss. A quiet sorrow for the relationship that she had assumed would be more, for the hopes that were discreetly suppressed or disavowed. But all of this is mixed with pride. Pride that she has at last recognized her own worth. Pride that she can sit before him and say what is true, and not tremble with it. Pride in herself for speaking up for something she has been too afraid to do for so long. And there is even a rush, that heady sense of power that attends coming out from beneath. It is a habit. You can almost imagine her thinking, I shouldn't have taken so long. But here I am. I am free in a way that I never was before. All these feelings mixed together, but none of them cause her to act impulsively. She has learned to master the storm, to use it as a tool and not as a weapon, and that is the most dangerous aspect for Cody. Because he is used to women reacting on an emotional plane, with the storm dictating the conversation. But Meri, she is the storm, contained and deliberate. And as she sits across from him, enunciating every word with calculated command, you can tell she is relishing this even a bit, because for the first time, she is the one who possesses her own voice. All right, besties, this was the moment that had my heart racing, Cody's reaction. Because let's be real, when a person like Meri finally ceases to shrink, the dynamics of the room change overnight. And Cody, he picked up on that instantly. He freezes at first. Not surprised, not exactly, but that small way you recognize when someone realizes they're no longer the top dog. His usual smug grin wavers, and you can almost picture the wheels turning in his head. Wait, is she serious? She is not intimidated. Then he tries his go to tactics, jokes, little smirks, little comments meant to deflect the tension. Classic Cody. He is trying to charm, to make her laugh, hopefully hoping that she will cave. But Meri doesn't bite. Not a waver of doubt. She meets him eye to eye and reaffirms her stand, solid, tranquil, unmoving. And you can see it on his face, the dawning awareness that his tricks no longer have the same effect. That for the first time in years, someone has dismantled the emotional manipulation he relied on. There is a half-second of quiet, almost too quiet, before he tries to deflect it with laughter. It doesn't sound as true, though. It sounds forced. And you can see that he is thinking, how did she get so powerful? Why can't I manipulate this anymore? Even his body language shifts. Usually he is relaxed, reclining, sprawling as if he owns the room. Now he is cramped, shoulders hunched, gritted jaw. Every movement shows that he is adapting, trying to make up for what has been lost. And the wives? Oh, they notice it too. There is relief, shock, perhaps a touch of vindication in their expressions, because this is not Meri's time. It is a crack in the wall that Cody's masculinity has built around the family for years. Honestly, it is an excellent blend of satisfying and tense. It is the sort of tension you feel in your chest, the sort where you feel like you want to yell at the television. Yes, Meri, undefined, hold your ground. And she does, second by second, never having to yell or make a scene. Cody's reaction is priceless, because it is not one of rage or vengeance. It is one of losing his expected power, undefined, and that loss. Undefined it is liberating, not just for Meri, but for all of us viewers who've been quietly hoping she would finally stand up. All right, besties, this is the part I love. The small, subtle moments when we see that Meri isn't all mouth, she is all action. Because change, genuine change, isn't necessarily angry shouting matches or an explosive showdown. Sometimes it is the quiet wins that hurt the most. I mean, use the example of Cody trying one of his trusty old sidesteps. You know, the tiny comment to make her doubt herself or feel guilty. In a typical episode, she might have stuttered, apologized, or smiled awkwardly to keep the peace. This time, however, she inhales, stalls for a moment, and calmly declares, "I am not having that conversation." Boom, tiny victory, huge impact. Another example, she sets clear boundaries around her schedule. Instead of scrambling to attempt to accommodate Cody's 11th or demands, she says no politely but firmly, and you can see the dynamic shift. It is a ripple effect when Meri stands up for herself. It reinforces subtly the manner in which other people should be treating her. And then there are the little things, speaking out in family gatherings, making decisions without reference to him, gently reminding him when he oversteps. It is not confrontational. It is assertive, measured, and intentional. Every time she does it, it dismantles decades of conditioning to be afraid, even in casual moments, like answering texts or participating in discussions. She's choosing her tone, choosing her words and not defaulting to appeasement. And honestly, watching these tiny victories is so satisfying because they show consistent growth. And the best part about it is that it is contagious. Look, some of the other wives are nodding over here, secretly reaching the same conclusion that they themselves have room to stand up to. Because if Meri can do it after all those years of compromise and conditioning, why not them? Those little wins might not be significant to the general audience, but to anyone who has been watching this show for a while. They're titanic. They add up to a new vibe in the house, one where Cody can't just coast on fear or guilt anymore to tell his tale. Meri isn't just fighting back in big dramatic moments. She's showing that everyday assertiveness is just as powerful, maybe even more. Alright, besties, now we're entering the messy, delicious part, the backlash. Because anytime someone finally stops being afraid, especially in a family like the Browns, there's going to be resistance. And Cody? Oh, he's not handling it gracefully. You'll see it in the small ways he shifts his behavior. He tries to use jokes to undermine her control, testing if old fear will rekindle. Classic Cody move, but Meri, she refuses. Every joke, every attempt at manipulation is met with level-headed retorts. And that irks him. You can almost see resentment building behind his eyes. And then there are the emotional jujitsu. He tries the passive-aggressive comments, backhanded compliments that used to make him feel guilty or uncertain of himself. Not now. They bounce off her like water off glass. She refuses to play the game, refuses to take the hook. And that, quite simply, is what gets his goat most. He is used to control, and now control isn't responding. Even the family is starting to feel the ripple effect. Christine and Robin exchange a look, some empathetic, some nervous. The dynamics Cody has relied on for decades are being altered right in front of their very eyes. And you can feel the tension in the room, like a thunderstorm smoldering quietly, all because one woman refused to be intimidated anymore. But the thing is, the backlash is not just about anger. It is about confusion. Cody is trying to balance, trying to figure out how to take back control when what he used to do no longer works. And that moment of confusion is powerful. It is the doorway where evolution happens, the moment where Meri can command for herself without obstruction. And while some of you might be paying attention to the tension, the fact is it is inspiring. It is proof that being strong, being truthful, and establishing boundaries doesn't just empower you. It shifts habits, it dispels assumptions, and most importantly, it encourages others that change is possible. Meri's inner strength in the face of pushback is exactly why this episode is a must-watch. Because it is not just drama for the sake of drama, it is a blueprint for anyone who has ever been too afraid to stand up for themselves. Alright, besties, let's talk about the portion that set everyone off on social media. Because after this episode aired, the internet completely lost it over Meri's bravery, and rightfully so. I mean, this is decades worth of built-up energy, unleashed at last in one sustained, peaceful, fiery performance. The comments were flying everywhere. Fans were cheering her on, saying things like, "Finally Meri standing up for herself," Or, "I've been waiting 15 years for this moment." There were even some comments about Cody looking visibly shaken, with viewers noticing the subtle changes in his demeanor. People were dissecting his reactions frame by frame because it's rare to see him lose composure, even slightly. There were a few tearful viewers, writing about how they've had controlling people in their lives, and how seeing Meri stand up for herself was inspiring. It is wonderful that something on television on a reality show can make such a difference in people's lives. It is not entertainment, it is empowerment. And then, of course, there were the memes. Oh, the memes. Screenshots of Meri's calm, strong face with labels like, "When you stopped caring about his opinion," or "Fear officially checked out." Gosh, some of them were really funny, but all of them did capture the power shift just perfectly. Even experts and bloggers were onto it, praising Meri for her maturity and confidence in analyzing Cody's reaction. And indeed, some did come to the defense of Cody. But even they couldn't avoid being confronted with the undeniable fact that Meri had completely flipped the script. Public reactions supported something essential. People are hungry for moments such as these. They want to be able to see someone finally speak their truth, shake up the established power bases, and do it with grace and composure. And Meri, she did that in a big way. Seriously, though, it is moments such as these that elevate a show from entertainment to cultural conversation. People are talking about Meri not just as a reality television wife, but as a symbol of reclaiming power, boundaries, and respect for oneself. All right, besties, we've finally arrived at the finale, and this is the part where we get to take a step back and see the big picture. Because Meri's act of bravery isn't just a one-off scene, it is a turning point, and it alters everything for her and the family. First, for Meri herself. She is no longer held back by fear, by guilt, by the whims of a controlling partner. Every no she uttered, every boundary she set, every serene no she expressed has exercised control. She is demonstrating to herself and to all around her that she can be whole, unapologetic, on her terms. That is huge. For the family, it is an eye-opener. Cody can no longer keep it all together with old habits of behavior and keep the pecking order on track. The other wives see firsthand that resistance is not anarchy. Boundaries do not destroy relationships, and speaking your truth can really change things for the better. Slowly but surely, the family comes to understand that respect must replace fear and control. And what about us, the audience? It is empowering. It reminds us that no matter how long we've suffered with something, we're always able to rewrite our story. Witnessing Meri stand up quietly and firmly is proof that you are never too late to reclaim your voice. In so many ways, this is a masterclass in empowerment. It is dramatic, to be sure, but it is authentic, unvarnished, and relatable. The small victories, the moments of high-pressure crisis, the quiet determination, they're all part of a greater narrative about courage, transformation, and self-respect. So girls, the lesson is this. Don't underestimate the quiet strength of a person who has been pushed too hard. Meri's had enough to be afraid, and that is something for all of us to learn. You don't have to yell to get heard. Sometimes a quiet confidence is louder than any yell ever was. And that is why this moment will be remembered, not just for the drama, but for the shift of perspective it represents, for Meri, for the family, and for all of us watching and learning from her story. Thank you ever so much for watching along, besties. What do you think? Was this the wait you've been waiting on for all these years? Let me know what you are thinking in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss a video. Bye, besties!